very warm welcome to everybody, both here and online. I was instructed to say that we are recording this session, so please give your consent, both here and online. I want to introduce Ljubisa. So it's a pleasure to have you here with us. And he studied and did his PhD in Sciences Po in Lyon, and he's now working at the Digital Society Lab Institute for Philosophy and Social Theory at the University of Belgrade, and he's also a fellow at EVM this year, where we've met. And I think he's talking about an extremely important and relevant topic. If you open the New York Times today, you'll see that yesterday the Center for AI Safety has issued an extremely strong statement, which has already been signed by a lot of people, myself included. Just one sentence: mitigating the risk of extension from AI should be a global priority alongside other societal scale risks, such as pandemics and nuclear war. So apparently, there is a lot of buzz around AI. What's interesting, of course, is that AI is neither artificial nor intelligent, but poses a lot of risk, as all other technologies of a similar scale do. I have seen Ljubisa's presentation. I find it extremely interesting. He has also published a book quite recently. It's about addiction and AI, or addiction to AI. Also quite interesting. Just to offer a short definition, although there are bigger experts in the room than myself, but of course, Ljubisa will talk about recommender systems, but also large language models, things that you know as ChatGPT. That's interesting because AI, ChatGPT type of LLMs are, as said, neither artificial nor intelligent. What they actually are automatons. They are automated semantic systems that produce semantic artifacts. What they, of course, lack is semiotics. So there is no reference to what is real. It's an artifact that it produces. This is how we should treat it. It's automated. It's automated in a unique way by what's called machine learning, trying to mimic, as it is assumed, human type of learning. So this is kind of the context that Ljubisa will take us into. And I am also in the same group as he is, suggesting, as this short statement also calls for, regulating AI. I am, of course, a mobility scholar, an STS scholar doing mobility studies, and I always start my university lectures on automobility with Mr. Benz in 1886. What would have he done if he knew where we would end up 150 years later with 80 million people dead and an Earth actually devastated by what we call automobility as a system? So we are at where Mr. Benz is, kind of. So we have a chance to do it otherwise. Ljubisa will tell us how to do it otherwise. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to introduce how I look at recommender systems in order to point towards the importance of this technology. Contrary to technology people, I see recommender systems as any kind of algorithm that recommends content through a big platform which is utilized online. So recommender system definition could be applied to large language models as well, and can be applied to AGI, because these new upcoming possible technology will also recommend content and could affect lots of people, like internet, social media, etc. I'm sure you know that recommender systems are based on analyzing lots of data points about each and every one of us, and that's why they are pretty effective, among other things. I'll show you first some of the famous examples throughout the recent history, pointing towards recommender systems as something to be concerned about. First example is Cambridge Analytica. It is a British company that possibly took data from Facebook in order to create tailor-made advertisements for individuals based on their personality traits, such as extroversion. They made specific ads for extroverts. They made other kind of ads for based on other personality traits. So this kind of ads and content delivered individually is very effective. And the problem is that this case hasn't drawn so much attention towards Facebook and Facebook's algorithms. It drew attention towards one company. But the much bigger question is at stake. The second case a few years ago that we had was a whistleblower from Facebook, Francis Hogan, who pointed towards some algorithmic recommendations and their effects in real life in polarizing societies across the globe and affecting societies in some very important moments when crisis happens, to actually make violence even bigger. So she pointed towards these cases which are important. And not only that she pointed towards them, she brought evidence from Facebook, because she was engaged on actually analyzing these cases. But the company didn't care about that. Now we have an example of TikTok. This specific social media has two versions. One version for China, which we call the spinach version, which is very good for society, but also good for the government, as it distributes lots of education content and positive emotions, as opposed to opium version, which is distributed to the rest of the world, which is actually there to keep you using these social media, buying stuff that are advertised, etc. So we already have two solutions. The Chinese solution is based on regulation in that country. And if we ban TikTok, this wouldn't have effect, because other social media, such as Instagram, that has Reels option, would flourish on addicting people. So this is not solution, banning one social media and leaving other to function. The next prominent case was a recent one between Gonzalez family and Google and Twitter as well, as these companies were accused from a family of a person killed in a terrorist attack. That these companies spread this kind of content, inspiring perpetrators to do these criminal acts. In this case, these companies were accused of spreading ISIS-related content that was stimulative for persons that did terrorist attacks. So the final decision of the court in the US is that these companies just provide a platform for this content to be posted, like hosting platforms, while they overlook the fact that these companies not only host the content, but they also amplify the content. They spread it around to other people, and they don't spread each and every piece of content. They just spread the content which can be met with good reaction, with likes, and that could drive the use of social media. So I will turn back to 2013 when I did a research for my PhD in which I compared old and new media. And the research has shown that old media had addictive capacity which is low. According to the research, it was found that people consuming these media, such as press and radio, had shown small intensity of addiction towards these media, as opposed to television and smartphones. In these cases, addiction levels were higher. So I was wondering what would be the next step, and I didn't think of the metaverse and virtual reality at that point in time. But actually, this could be the next step, as the big companies are investing a lot of money in this kind of future. They're creating a platform for virtual reality. My question at that point was, what kind of effects of this low latency addiction was, because we have a small portion of individuals that show high intensity addiction. But what about 88% of people that just use smartphones like we do? Actually, this is the most important and should be focused on future research, as these are just people that consume, that take part in the consumption society, and they are the drivers of democracy, and they're most important for the society. But we don't question ourselves. We don't do too much research into how new technologies, such as smartphone, which is not new at this point, how it affects people and their psychology. So what I found was that these media, old ones, are utilized or used by employing smaller number of senses, while the newer ones are more realistic. They provide realistic kind of experience to us. And in the metaverse, we're going to have immersive experience inside the virtual world. So we're going to feel as present on some other place, or that would be the experience that we would have. So the basic thing, as Robert has said, that these media, as automobiles, as any kind of technology which is applied to the large number of people, is actually affecting society as a boomerang, which is important to take into account. So some scholars predict that the metaverse will advance media addiction to the next level, because VR will provide a super realistic experience that highly resembles the real world. At this point, it's important to acknowledge how these technologies, old ones and new ones, interlap, and the old technologies are actually underlying in new technologies. So in the metaverse, also the recommender systems will work or will be applied as some kind of algorithm must determine your experience in the virtual world. I also wanted to point towards the current world in which we live in. As Robert has said, large language models, although they don't look so impressive from one point of view, they are very important as they're just one important step in the progress of technology. And if we have some kind of machine and it looks as the machine understands what we are speaking to the algorithm, then the next step would be actually learning machines to have visual experience, which is already being done with the progress of autonomous vehicles. And also, these large language models are applied on large number of YouTube videos at this moment. So this is the next step. They're learning from YouTube videos because the GPT-4 can recognize what's on the photos or frames of those videos. I just wanted to say, with this kind of citation in the beginning, there was the word that this kind of language context, one step towards the future, is very important and can make the difference. Now, I would like to indicate how important these non-human systems have been throughout human history. Nobody notices how many people died from automobiles when this technology started being accepted by everyone. We don't even notice at this point. Similarly, we don't notice that, or we sometimes see, such as this point when there are wars, that many people die because of the nation states. Countries involve themselves in wars, and these are actually consequences of existence of these non-human social systems, such as the nation state. You may want to remember how many people died because of religious wars. And also, we have corporations. Corporations use different things that are not good for humans. And the only important reasons they have to do that is to further evolve, grow, and have more power. For example, a corporation can make some kind of food with lots of sugar, which is at the bottom point of food for human beings. This is just one example what they do. At this very point, corporations, of course, don't care about society. And we have the platform economy, which is connected to the internet as well. And we have also the need for corporation to grow and to have more power. So the problem is that they don't care about.
Sorry, company should care about profits, not about power.
Yes, company should actually care about profits, and maybe you come from economics department or this kind of sphere, which is true, but there is something wrong about the system. The system is okay, the system works in many cases, but in this specific case, it may have, these corporations don't look at the other side of the pictures. Okay. So, in the evolving media landscape, I see some points. First point is the development of mass media. And that was the point when the promotion of negative content, of negative news started in order to attract more viewers of television, newspapers, so to promote products and services in service of economy. So we see sensational type of media that still do that, and actually media never stopped in promoting negative content. But there was not so much regard on what kind of effects of these new negative news there were for the society. Recommender systems on social media only continued that role in spreading arousing, emotionally arousing negative content because they want to have attention and they want to have lots of users continuously using their services. So at one point there was recommender systems as moderators. They still do their job, and televisions, they still broadcast their programs. But that was the point around 2010 with the expansion of social media, and we have seen the effects of recommender systems as a moderator. Asa Raskin has said that they defeated humanity by AI because that was individual in terms that recommender systems are really effective. They provide individual recommendations. The next point, ChatGPT era, is important because AI is not only moderator but curator of the content. It's also creator of the content. So that's how AI and recommender systems are even more powerful with the new feature, because content can be tailor-made for everyone. You don't have to choose someone else's content and then forward it to other people. You can create the content. So that's why it's dangerous for society. And we have...
Sorry, can you ask a question or do you want me?
Yes, a bit later. I'm just going to go to show these scientific findings related to negative effects of these recommender systems. And then when I finish, we're going to talk. So the third point was what if AGI really is established, which is envisioned for the future. And the third point would be that AGI has some kind of intention in case in this kind of scientific future-oriented scenario becomes conscious. This is even more dangerous for societies. So I see humans as actually collateral damage of algorithmic recommendations, and their lives, their psychological well-being is actually just a side effect of the need to have the platforms going and have the economy going, which we're going to discuss a bit later. So now I would like to pinpoint towards the importance of recommender systems and implications of these algorithms to society. They are actually used by more than half of the world's population through smartphones. So their reach is pretty high. They are also used in different areas of life. If we want to go from point A to point B, if we want to consume media, we actually use social networks for that. If we want to get employment, we just use some social media as well for that. I'm just saying by showing this kind of data that many people use this kind of media for different kind of purposes, as we all know. It's connected to economy, to jobs, to finding romantic partner as well. Here are some research findings related to algorithmic recommendations. I made a list and divided the list into different kinds of effects. First one, polarization of societies. When you get some kind of message that confirms your view, you just want to consume more, and you can be the person at the protest, but you can do also some kind of terrorist acts. That is especially evident with young people and some percentage of population that are drawn to extreme kind of actions that we had in Serbia, for example, in previous weeks, when one 13-year-old boy shot his friends in the school. Also, we see emotional contagion. That means that emotions are transferred through posts on social media, and the most spreading emotions are actually negative ones, such as related to fear, to anger, etc. Arousing emotions are very good to drive content and drive people to stick to their screens. We have media addiction that has been growing. It's very hard to connect that with algorithmic recommendations. And we have some issues such as fairness, bias, inequality, and privacy. So these are measured effects of algorithmic recommendations, except for media addiction, that's not a direct connection. What misses here is holistic view of these issues and really introspection into how this affects society on a large level, society at large. So the next step here would be artificial general intelligence. Actually, large language models, as creators of this technology have said, are a step towards this technology. That means that one large language model would be applied in different areas of life. For example, to control some processes, to be related to the traffic, to different kind of purposes that can be useful. And actually, you can use GPT for you can make applications. There is a developer version, and you can really utilize it for different purposes. I'm sorry that this cannot be seen very clearly because text is small. Here are some of the replies of BART, which is Google's large language model regarding the AGI. And I will read some stuff that are actually written by this large language model. The question was, okay, when we get to the next step, what would be ways to do it safely with AGI, with artificial general intelligence? Let's think of it just hypothetically. So the answer was that it's important to start thinking about these issues now, even though the technology doesn't exist. The second thing would be developing ethical guidelines for the development and use of AGI. The third thing would be creating international agreements to regulate developments and use of AGI. These agreements should ensure that AGI is used for peaceful purposes and that it is not used to develop autonomous weapons or to create deepfakes that can be used to manipulate people. That is actually, in my view, very good suggestion from BART, because autonomous weapons are really the big threats that can destroy the world. The next thing would be investing in education and training so people can develop skills they need to work with AGI. And I guess also some kind of digital literacy in order to be aware of potential manipulations that AGI would create. One approach is to design AGI systems with human values in mind. This kind of technology needs to have some values. It cannot be neutral, because if it is neutral, then it can optimize humanity according to its own merit. For example, it can destroy whole country and create servers there if it wants, and if it becomes conscious. So these are just things that seem very unrealistic right now, but they are possible with the developments of such a powerful technology that will be applied to different spheres of life. Because I said previously, when I was referring to the different social systems that are made by human, that they actually have some kind of like cooperation, which we may discuss later. They have some kind of logic of cooperation that doesn't actually depend on people that are running the cooperation, and this becomes some kind of entity with its own kind of character, and nobody can stop a corporation to grow, or it's very hard to do that. In my view, at least, I guess that is possible with some kind of board intervention. So if you have people that own corporation, that's kind of possible. But what really happens in practice, that these decisions are rarely accepted, that are not in favor of the corporation. And another thing is incentivizing AGI systems to behave in a way that is consistent with human values. And again, human values would be important in this case, because the system needs to be directed towards human well-being. It cannot be neutral. So this would be the next step, the AGI. I will repeat that. If AGI will optimize humans according to its own merit, it could be beneficial only if AGI's merit is aligned with human values, ethical considerations, and thoughtfully addressed. And individuals maintain a degree of autonomy and freedom to make their own choices. Why recommender systems, LLMs, and potentially AGI, it is ever applied, should be public good? There are two reasons for this. First, our time is a limited resource. This is related to attention that is used for these algorithms. Human attention is used to keep the things going. The second thing, recommender systems are consuming time, humans, in a way. We can look at that from this perspective, but also using content created by humans. They don't only host the content, they use the content in order to addict other people and to drive engagement. AGI is also being built on human knowledge and creativity. And if it ever becomes so powerful in a way that it can create new things and furtherly learn, that would be because of human knowledge. So actually, AGI owns us, large language models own us in a way that is related to the knowledge that these technologies use to make something new. Attention based resource, this can be connected to airtime. For example, you may remember previous times when we had only a few television stations, and that was because there was a limited resource that with analog technology, just few TV stations could be broadcast. And we have now a limited resource. It's not about technology, it's about human beings. So human beings are in a way limited resource because their time is limited resource. These are the reasons why I personally think recommender systems should be public good. And when I say recommender systems, I mean large language models and potentially AGI. So here is one potential solution. It is about balancing content that is provided to people that consume it through various devices. And we can balance it on various levels. One level is type of content, education versus entertainment. Second level is emotions, negative versus positive. Third level is intensity, high intensity emotions and low intensity emotions. Fourth level is topics, something we're interested in or other kind of content that we're not so much interested in. And the fifth level is opinions. I'm for something or against something. We don't want to get only the content from the political party that we support. We want to get some percentage of the content related to other views, so you don't become fixed in the echo chamber bubble. This can be recognized by an algorithm. Algorithmic problems really require algorithmic solutions. So algorithms, through the analysis of content, can recognize which one is positive, which one is negative, which one is connected to our opinions, which one is connected to topics we are interested or not interested, etc. So this is the solution that I propose and that I would like to talk about in different kind of occasions, because I think this is very important. This could be set by actually some kind of international organization, and all these algorithms could be set by society in a way that there is some universal agreement about what kind of percentages are good. Some portion of the algorithm could be set by a platform, for example, entertainment platform, as TikTok would like to maximize entertainment content. And the third part of this could be set by user. So user can have or should have some kind of degree of freedom to say what he or she is interested in. So the solution is not only balancing and making universal formula for all. The solution should be tailor-made depending on the platform and depending on the user's settings. This is very simple and very applicable solution for algorithmic problems and recommendations. Last year, during the Emerge conference in December, where we assessed the emerging technologies, we had a scientific conference and we had a lot of panels, discussions, speeches in Belgrade. We signed the Belgrade Digital Freedom Pledge. This document is about making discussions for an initiative to make these discussions related to recommender algorithms as public good, related to digital identity as human rights, and related to the need to have more research about emerging technologies and how they affect society and human psychology. As you may see, the document was signed by people from academia mainly, some people from NGO, and one company. But we want to spread it further and to encompass these large language models and potentially new technologies that are coming. And we think it's important to really think about technologies and to do research much before technologies really become mainstream, because when they become mainstream, when people are addicted to them, then it may be too late, like we have seen with GDPR, which is really made to take our data and justify to big tech companies as we all click accept and okay. You may argue that it is just as it is, it's an individual responsibility, but GDPR is no way a solution that protects society and human beings. So this is just a platform, a starting point for further conversations. And I want to show where we are right now. The major points in human history are related to economy as well. The recent history, I would say, is the agricultural revolution. When this happened, when we could produce a lot of food for many people, that affected the number of people on Earth. Also, we had industrial revolution. It was important point, and the global population risen to 1.5 billion in 1900s. And then we have some points related to the advent of technology, like expansion of mass television from 1950, and then the internet becomes widely used in 2000s, expansion of social media in 2005, popularization of smartphones in 2007, and we have points in which the ChatGPT technology have risen in 2022. So we are now on the road towards this new technology, artificial general intelligence, and I think it is right time to prepare for this with all these things in mind, because AGI will be about recommendations and also creation of new content and new value. AGI will be, if it ever succeeds to achieve these levels of intelligence that requested from big technology, AGI would be able to do lots of things and to be applied in different areas of life, as I already have said, which brings us to the moment, if we want to take a look at the future, about the free time that people will have at that point. And this is the end of presentation. With this slide, I want to open the discussion about the future, and I would like to hear how you think about it. So, if people suddenly, with the expansion of these new technologies, have more spare time and their jobs are no longer needed, then I guess they would rebel, as many have predicted, and universal basic income would be implemented across the globe, which means that people will have lots of time. So what would happen next? As Helga Novotny has indicated in her book, in AI We Trust, this may be a decrease of creativity of human beings because they are exposed to similar content. I have written and I have examined the other part of the coin, and that is process between human beings and the fact that no technology can exchange human contact. It can provide some experience, but that experience cannot be deep enough in order to be the same. So the thing that I actually focused on was decreasing depth of communication and connection between human beings, which relates to happiness, because happiness is connected, according to some sociological research, to close connection between friends and family, etc. So with this new technology, which will be substitution of this communication, of these close contacts, in my view, the society would drift further in alienating itself in terms of alienation between human beings will increase. And the other side, if we continue with these kind of recommendations, which are basically intended to addict us, then the society would be similar to, I would say, people that are like Homer Simpson, if you go to the future, that are very limited in their ideas. And there will be two kinds of people that are more creative and people that are really addicted, like we see those streams are now. So this is just free discussion that I wanted to open related to the future, and I would like to hear how you see the future. I would also invite you to join us at the Emerge Forum for the future of AI-driven humanity in Belgrade from 23rd to 24th November 2023. And I would like to invite you to sign the Belgrade Digital Freedom Pledge. And that will be it. Now it will be great to discuss how we see the future and does it make sense in a new way. Thank you very much.